Esson Akolo, Deputy General Manager at Tomato Jos Farming and Processing Limited, a pioneering agribusiness reshaping Nigeria's tomato value chain. He is passionate about building climate-smart and inclusive agricultural systems that empower smallholder farmers and drive long-term food security across West Africa. Under his leadership, Tomato Jos has successfully integrated over 2,500 smallholder farmers with over 50% women inclusion into a commercially.
Esson Akolo Elijah is the Deputy General Manager at Tomato Jos Farming and Processing Limited, a pioneering agribusiness reshaping Nigeria value chain. He is passionate about building climate-smart and inclusive agricultural systems that empower smallholder farmers and drive long-term food security across West Africa. Under his leadership, Tomato Jos has successfully integrated over 2,500 smallholder farmers with over 50% women inclusion into a commercially viable supply chain. This benchmark remains unmatched by any other private sector-led initiative in the country. Esson has also overseen agronomic programs that have delivered some of the highest recorded yields of maize, tomato, and soy.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
This well-meaning webinar. Thank you for joining me. Hello. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Well, you're welcome to today's webinar. We want to say thank you for joining this wonderful webinar, and we will be expecting. The speaker is here with us, and so we will just be giving a little bit of just give us some little bit of time, but we will be starting immediately. It is 6:10, so that we would begin. Thank you once again for joining. You're welcome to EduFarm Food Systems webinar. You're welcome. This is just in the next 5 minutes we would be starting. We are just waiting for even others just to join us. Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you very much for joining today. We want to appreciate everyone for coming over for this particular webinar. And it's going to be a very, very wonderful time for us in today's webinar. And it's just on the topic that we know that has been a very, very huge problem for most of us that are in the agricultural field. And for some people also that really just want to join agricultural field, but they really don't take note of this particular aspect, and that is the post-harvest loss reduction. Last week, we had, yeah, that should be last 2 weeks, we had a webinar on climate smart agriculture, and going from that particular seminar, we realized even a whole lot that there is a part that is being lost even when we plant. And so it is so much important for us to do the next one, which is what we are doing now, which is the post-harvest loss. But in doing that, we have someone that is to take on today's presentation. And just a minute, let me invite him to take on the stage. Please join me even as you watch this little presentation.
Esson Akolo Elijah is the Deputy General Manager at Tomato Jos Farming and Processing Limited, a pioneering agribusiness reshaping Nigeria's tomato value chain. He is passionate about building climate-smart and inclusive agricultural systems that empower smallholder farmers and drive long-term food security across West Africa. Under his leadership, Tomato Jos has successfully integrated over 2,500 smallholder farmers with over 50% women inclusion.
Just a minute, I think there is an error.
This benchmark remains unmatched by any private sector-led initiative in the country. Esson has also overseen economic programs that have delivered some of the highest recorded yields of maize, tomato, and soybean in Nigeria, outperforming national averages.
Sorry, I think there was an error playing that. Technical issue, sorry. There is a technical issue somewhere. Sorry, we can't play that now. I don't know why. Maybe it's my network or thereabout. It's not coming up. Okay, so I would just use my so I will just say it now, probably with just my mouth then. Okay, so Please join me even as we call on Esson Akolo Elijah. He is the Deputy General Manager at Tomato Jos Farming Processing Limited, a pioneering agribusiness that is reshaping Nigeria's tomato value chain. He's so much passionate even about building climate smart, inclusive agricultural systems that empower smallholder farmers and drive long-term food security across West Africa. Under his leadership as Deputy General Manager, Tomato Jos has successfully integrated over 2,000 smallholder farmers with over 50% women inclusion into a commercially viable supply chain. This benchmark remains unmatched by any other private sector-led initiative in the country. Esson has also overseen agronomic programs that have delivered some of the highest recorded yields of maize, tomato, and soya bean in Nigeria, outperforming national averages by up to 400 to 500%. These results were achieved through rigorous field trials, data-driven input use, scalable best practices in soil health, IPM, and smart irrigation. Over the last 5 years, Esson aims to scale regenerative crop production and carbon production smart agricultural practices to reach tens of thousands of farmers, while repositioning them for climate resilience, higher productivity, and access to premium markets through innovation and strategic partnerships. Long before joining Tomato Jos, Esson has worked as a research assistant with the IITA and Ahmadu Bello University. His expertise spans donor engagement, environmental impact assessment, farmer training systems, inclusive agribusiness models. He has successfully mobilized and implemented millions of dollars worth of donor-funded projects that advance rural livelihoods and climate adaptation. Esson holds a master's degree in plant biology from Ahmadu Bello University and has received advanced training in climate smart agriculture, irrigation, and water systems, monitoring and evaluation inclusive. He is also fluent in English and Hausa. On this particular webinar, he brings a very deep understanding of Nigeria and Africa's agricultural system, also with the rural dynamics and sustainability pathway to every project. So please join me even as I welcome, even to take up the webinar, Mr. Esson Akolo Elijah. Thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Esson, you can. Mr. Elijah. Hello. Oh, I think it's network. Mr. Esson, can you unmute yourself? Okay, I think there's a network.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear
Yes,
me?
please, we can.
All right. So I've actually been waiting for you to unmute me. I've been here. All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with all of us in this webinar on post-harvest loss. Please, can you share? Let me attempt to also share my screen, or if you can share from your end. Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah. So, like the introduction went, my name is Esson Akolo Elijah. I work with Tomato Jos Farming and Processing Limited. So in this seminar, we're just going to briefly talk about post-harvest loss management strategy. And then, of course, I will give room for questions and answers. So please, can you help me with that? Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost, I want to start with my objectives for the seminar, which is first and foremost to understand what post-harvest loss is. And secondly, to learn secondly, to identify key loss points along the value chain. Again, whether it's grains, whether it's vegetables, uh, it's important to understand where the problem is, the pinpoint exactly where the problems are in the value chain. Thirdly is to learn practical and scalable strategies to reduce post-harvest loss. A lot of times people learn how to reduce post-harvest loss, but most of the time it's not scalable. So you can only do that in small scale, and it doesn't make it sustainable or commercially viable. So one of the things we want to do is to understand how we can do this in scale. The fourth is to appreciate why post-harvest loss reduction is a system issue and not just a farmer issue. A lot of time, again, many of us might be farmers, and some of us might be people that can have impact in the value chain systematically and not just as individuals. So it's important to understand where the pain points are and appreciate where as a system we can work together. It's not one man's thing, but as a system we can work together in order to correct what is, and we can all benefit as farmers. Thank you. The next slide. Okay, so what is post-harvest loss? Basically, I know that a lot of times we define post-harvest loss as the losses incurred as a result of practices that, losses that are incurred in the farm after harvest. And these losses can be basically lost in quality, which usually can be decline in the quality of the product, the safety of the product, or the market value of the product. A lot of us that are familiar with vegetables, you would understand this very properly. After you harvest a product from Kano, before it reaches Lagos, there is an effect on the quality of that product, not necessarily the quantity. And the other is the quantity, which most of us are familiar with, the reduction or the loss in the quantity of the product, which again might be as a result of complete deterioration of the quality of the product. So again, we know that in sub-Saharan Africa, we lose almost half, 30 to 40% of the food we produce, we harvest in sub-Saharan Africa is lost. This is according to the FAO and World Bank. That means that whatever we produce, almost half of it is lost. We don't get value for half of what we produce. And in Nigeria particularly, post-harvest loss is estimated at around $3 to $4 trillion annually. Especially this is coming from grains, fruits, and vegetables. Many of us that are familiar with traveling, when you go to, for example, when you're traveling to Kano, you will see a massive number. I don't have a picture here. A massive quantity of oranges, trucks and trucks of oranges, just rotting and wasted somewhere in Kano. Again, these are very familiar sites in Nigeria for grains. For tomato is a very familiar site. Now, this loss in products is basically a waste of resources, lost in food, land cultivated, water that is, hello? Is a loss in the water that we use, is a waste of labor, waste of investment, waste of fertilizer, waste of seed, is actually complete waste of the resources that we have scarce. And one of the reasons why this is a very critical issue is because we live in an environment where resources are much more scarce compared to West, especially Europe and America. Now, where we have very scarce resources and then we have so much waste, especially in terms of all of these resources, that constitutes a huge problem for us. Please, the next slide. Now, so what are the key points of post-harvest loss that are critical to note? Here, I highlighted the key places where post-harvest loss happens. The first one is poor handling, and then production practices. Now, I wrote, while I was thinking through this, I was thinking about production practices, and a lot of times many farmers are not careful with what happens at production, not knowing that what happens at production, and thank God we talked about climate smart agriculture last week. What happens at production is very crucial. So let me give you an example. If you are producing, let's say tomato to sell, again, if your market is particularly in in Lagos, and you're producing in Kaduna, for example, the choice of the variety to use is very crucial. Now, the yield is important, but then the choice of the variety that will stand the rigor of transportation is very crucial. The fertilization is very crucial. Whether staking or vine training, so whether you are selling to the fresh market or whether you are selling to a factory, right? Those are key in determining what kind of practices are important. So at production, some of those key practices have a crucial effect on the overall post-harvest longevity or the shelf life, especially of vegetables. The other is transportation and logistics generally. So transportation is very crucial. It is in fact, according to statistics, it is said that about 20 to 30% of loss, especially of tomato in Nigeria, is due to transportation. So for the movement of goods from vegetables from the north to the south, we're losing up to 30%. And because we do not have structured and well-organized transportation systems that will help. And sorry, this is supposed to be transportation and packaging. Now, again, one of the things that we have seen over the years, thank God there has been change that is coming into the sector, is a perpetual use of raffia baskets, where tomato is stacked on each other and is collapsing. And then as they are stacked on each other, they put pressure on each other and they are spoiling. So this point is crucial. So transportation and logistics are very crucial points where post-harvest loss happens. The other one is the other point is marketing and storage. We realize that a lot of, now I'm being very specific with vegetables because there are issues with grain, which we'll talk about later, but some of these are very much pronounced with vegetables, where we lose up to 60% of the yield. So where most farmers in Nigeria, most farmers grow tomato without contracts, without a ready market. So they take it to the market hoping that a buyer will come and buy. And usually in that time period where tomato is stored and kept in the market, or vegetables are kept in the market, you incur a lot of losses. The other is storage, and this has to do with grains as well. So because we do not have systems of storage in the country, you discover that whether grains, especially for grains where you have issues with what do they call this insect that usually attack grains. So usually if you do not have, we don't have storage systems. So at those points, those are the junctures. So for example, in the vegetable tomato value chain where I work most extensively, you will realize that from production to post-harvest, to harvesting, to transportation, and then to the market, you have at every point, you have the loss at every point. And from these, we know that the biggest point of loss is usually at transportation. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Yeah, so I wrote this misconception about post-harvest loss, that this is usually caused by farmers. But here, like I said earlier, I beg to differ, and I'm saying that most post-harvest loss is caused by a very weak system, and our farmers are having to operate within a very weak system. Now we can talk about how the strategies for management of these things and how we can come in, and how businesses, again, you might not be, a lot of people might not be interested in farming directly, but there are opportunities within the value chain where you can see and you can say, oh, I can solve these problems within the value chain, because the value chain is weak. And because of this weakness in this system, that is where we have a lot of losses in the system. Thank you. The next page, please. So yeah, what are the key management focus in management of post-harvest loss? Where are the key management focus? Here I wrote capacity building and farmers training. Like we have started with the climate smart training. It is important that farmers are aware of some of the critical decisions that they have to make at the beginning of the season, from how much water they use, which affects all of this, from how much water they use, from the varieties they use, to how much water they use, to their pest management practices, and then to their harvesting practices. These are very crucial in affecting what happens after the farm. We'll go into details in the next slide. The other is improving harvesting handling. The next is packaging and transportation, which I've talked about earlier. The next is storage, processing, and preservation. And here I wrote both modern and local infrastructure. One of the things we realized is that we have completely let go of some old infrastructures that we are using in time past. We are not using the new modern ones, and we have let go of the traditional storage system. So We think that those things are very important, and the market linkage and coordination, which is very crucial. And I will lay a lot of emphasis on market linkage and coordination because it's a most important aspect in building a system where we will have zero loss in the farm. The next slide, please. So in capacity building, I brought in some of these factors, and I like to talk about them here. So one of it is contract farming. I don't know how much some of us know about contract farming, but for a lot of farmers, for a lot of our farmers in Nigeria, we farm without a contract. And I know that there are a lot of challenges about farming with contracts in Nigeria, contract farming in Nigeria. But this is, we know that in parts of Europe and America, no farmer farms without a contract because it guarantees his offtake. So there is a system that is built where the farmer does not have to go out to look for buyers for his product. Instead, at the beginning, before he puts anything on ground, he has signed a contract on how much he's producing, how much there is going to be off-taking, so that at the point of harvest, the buyer is coming to off-take everything. That way, the farmer does not have to deal with anything that happens after production. The only thing that the buyer will do will be to check the quality, whether it meets quality standards, and then he will off-take. Now, this is very crucial. We'll talk more about it in terms of a smallholder or a small farmer's perspective. The other, like I mentioned, is on training on harvesting at breaker stage, irrigation management, integration of IPM, vines training or staking that will increase shelf life, packaging and transportation. They are very crucial training for farmers. Many farmers are very reluctant in changing from their old practices, and it is important that we understand that these are not at this point, these things are not optional. Farmers need to be trained. It's important to be trained to understand the economics of using some of the packaging methods that result in loss and some of the packaging methods that result. So, for example, the raffia basket. When a farmer uses a raffia basket, the quality of his product is reduced, the quantity of his product is reduced. Meanwhile, so the price of that product when it reaches its destination is also reduced. However, when you use the crates, which is what is being promoted in the sector nowadays, you realize that the quality is intact and the quantity is intact. And that way, you get value for your product. The other, of course, is processing and preservation. Now, it's important for farmers to understand local processing on. So the capacity building must center around what if I have excess? What do I do with it? And farmers need to understand very menial ways of storing their facilities. And again, those are some of the services that we're going to talk about later. About can some people also create a service where if a farmer has excess of tomato, he can go ahead and procure the services of a drying company that can dry this tomato, and he can keep it and sell it, because there are a lot of people willing to buy dry tomatoes. Please, the next slide. So that education is very crucial. So just to go a little bit about contract farming, I'll give you a highlight of what TJ does in its contract farming system, where in Tomato Jos, we have a comprehensive system where the farmer collects, the company provides a comprehensive loan structure at the start of the season, where all inputs required for the season is given to the farmers from the land. Land is loaned to the farmers, inclusive of irrigation and tractor services, and the price is guaranteed for the farmers at the beginning of the season. So whatever happens, whether there is a fluctuation, either increase in price or decrease in price, the farmer knows that he has a guaranteed offtake price, which guarantees his break-even amount and his profitability. So in the loan system, the contract farming model, training is conducted for the farmers, and extensive field supervision is also done for the farmers, just to ensure that their product does not have issues in terms of quality. Now, for the farmer will repay the loan in kind, and all of the tomato, as in this case, will be taken from the farmer. So the farmer has no reason to worry about a problem with his tomato, however plenty it is. In fact, the company has a harvesting service that will go in and ensure that all of the farmer's tomato is harvested at the time it's supposed to be harvested, so that it doesn't have an issue. Now, depending on the buyer, right? If a buyer is in Lagos, he will know that, oh, I need to harvest this at breaker stage, so that when I'm moving this, before I reach Lagos or so, I have my. So a contract farming model is very crucial in managing this system, such that the farmer will not have any problem, and the processor or the off-taker will ensure that he maximizes profitability by ensuring that no single tomato is lost on the way. So in our model, the farmer pays in kind, and all of the tomato is harvested, and whatever the company has incurred in terms of loan is subtracted from the farmer's revenue, and the profitability of the farmer is paid to his account. So typically a farmer earns 20 to 50% profit from the program. Please, the next slide. So here is a case study of Aisha Mohammed, a farmer who came into our project without any skill, you know, and she was, hello? So she was trained in this project. She was given loan. In fact, she came with 0 naira. And she was trained. She was able to grow tomato, and her yield was above 60 metric tons per hectare. And Tomato Jos took all of her product. That much tomato was taken out of her farm. She didn't have any issues with post-harvest loss, 0 post-harvest loss. And she enjoyed a 50% profit margin from her business enterprise with Tomato Jos. The next slide. So yeah, so other management areas is correct harvest timing. I talked about this very briefly. So usually it is important to understand, depending on the market. So the market determines a lot of things, and it is important for farmers, in order to prevent post-harvest loss. Maybe one of the most important statements in this meeting is a market-oriented farming. So a market-oriented farming is crucial to ensuring that post-harvest loss is kept at a minimum. So if you understand the market, you will understand the distance where this tomato will be taken, the time it will be taken, and the infrastructure that is needed to take it where it's supposed to be taken. So the timing of the harvest is very crucial. If I am harvesting for a factory, I will understand that, oh, I need my tomato red. If I'm harvesting to take it, to transport it far, it's important I harvest it maybe at the breaker stage, because at that stage, the ethylene has been produced, and during the course of the transportation, the tomato will ripen. But by the time it reaches its destination, it will be red. So it's important. That timing is very important. Proper handling technique. One of the things I think most farmers are very unaware of is that most the disease that cause, the issues with spoilage in tomato has to do with microorganisms. And because most of our tomatoes or our products are kept on the ground. You know, I harvested, I kept on the ground, I kept on moisture and all of that. There's no proper handling of these products. So if the products are kept clean, it will reduce the amount of microorganisms that will cause contamination of this product. Then sorting and grading. A lot of farmers will, I think a lot of farmers, when they are grading or packaging their product, they put the bad ones under and the good ones on top. You know.
Hello.
Hello. Please, is there a way to mute the person speaking?
Sorry, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of farmers do not understand. So they try to, you know, in a bid to put everything together, all the grades of tomato together, they put the bad ones under. And by mixing the good ones and the bad one, effectively, they are also enhancing or facilitating the spoilage of the good tomato. So that is very crucial. I'm using tomato as a case study. Of course, awareness of quality standards, again, depends on the market. It's important to understand the market you are taking these products to, and the distance you are taking them. It will affect, again, whatever it is, that at what quality you are sending those tomato and where you are taking them to. Again, it's important to, it will help the farmer to decide what to do with the tomato. So there are some points that you know that this tomato cannot withstand long trips, and that's why having services like a drying service of tomato is crucial. So because if the tomato is too weak to travel, it is better off to say, oh, I can send it to be dried instead of transporting this tomato. So those opportunities are very crucial. Having services that provide for the farmers an alternative in this sector. Please, the next slide. Yeah, so this is a rundown of how that operations look like. So for a farmer, planning of harvest is very crucial. To plan the harvest is very crucial. Again, I keep saying that I'm using tomato as a case study. So it's important to plan the harvest. Most farmers just wait and know, oh, when and when. And that is why, again, I'll keep referring to smart agriculture. In smart agriculture, you understand the temperatures in which you are harvesting. That way, it determines the harvesting interval. And once you know the harvesting interval, you can understand when and where you are taking your tomato, your products and all. So a harvesting plan is crucial. Again, the inputs for harvesting, in this case, a crate for tomato. So farmers harvest, so the harvesting operation, and then of course the weighing and all of that. It's important to lay this out as a plan so that this period of harvest do not meet the farmers by accident, or so that all preparation that needs to be done. So for me as a farmer, you will have a schedule of when you are going to, from transplanting, when am I expected to harvest, and at what point do I need to contact the buyer, and when does the buyer need to come. All of this needs to be scheduled so that I am not, as a farmer, I am not waiting. I'm not harvesting and waiting to get a buyer, but everything is planned with the buyer, and what we are doing in operation is just implementing a plan. The next slide, thank you. Yeah, so this is an example of baskets where you have a lot of bad tomato, and then this is where you have the crates where you have less than 5% loss in the tomato. The next slide. Yeah, again, this is a proper transport of tomato in the crates, and of course, in a cold van, where this is the raffia basket part is what we normally do in the country, how we transport tomato, where we have a lot of losses. The next, please. Yeah. So our packaging system. Yeah. Here we're just looking at some of the issues further on how to correct them. So on packaging system, the problem with the traditional packaging, one of it is compression damage, as you've seen, poor ventilation, contamination, and which result in very high spoilage rates. Improved packaging solutions always involve a rigid crate system, ventilated or conditioners, and in the case of grains, of course, it's about drying. Just to mention, one of the things that for a lot of issues with grains, you have an aflatoxin issue and you have dryness. And for grains, many farmers might bag their grains without allowing them to fully dry, or allowing them to be infected by aflatoxin, which reduces the quality and thereby reduces the chances of the farmer to sell it to premium market, maybe like, let's say, Nestle or so. So again, proper ventilation of the container, or in this case, the dryers, in the case of grains. Then, of course, standardized sizes for stacking. Usually, you find that farmers may stack unnecessarily. So in some tomato instances, you will see the way the farmers will stack will be so bad that the crates will still also be collapsing on each other. The other one is storage and preservation. Improved dry storage. Again, I've mentioned this time and time again, that it's important to get infrastructure that
I think the network probably took him off.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can share you.
Okay.
The network is not the network is not good.
I can't see the screen. I'm sorry. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
We
Hello?
can hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
Can you guys hear me?
Hello? We can hear you.
Sorry, let me I don't know my network.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, please
All
let
right,
us
so,
mute all after the presentation, please. Let us mute our microphone till after the presentation. I think that will be better,
So
please.
the thing I want to talk about is the agribusiness opportunities in this whole. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, please continue.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Go ahead. We're hearing you.
Okay. You can
The last
continue,
thing I
sir. We
want to
can
talk
hear you well.
about will be the opportunity. Okay. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the opportunities that are available in this whole mess that has been created. And one thing I've talked about consistently is packaging solutions. There are a lot of opportunities in terms of tomato drying in especially in the production belt, right? And it's not just tomato, it's also grains. Most grains, a lot of farmers harvest grains, and you see them all stacked on the road, and there are no drying services that are available for farmers to take advantage of. Those services are not available, and if there is a system, there are people that are interested in these areas, it will be very valuable for farmers. So packaging solutions, crate, bags. I think one of the things that FMN has done very significantly is the bags for storage of grains, where people were using chemicals to prevent weevils from attacking their grains. Now they'll just bag and you don't have to worry about weevils or so. So there are a lot of opportunity for technologies that will help cold storage. There are a lot of opportunities in terms of cold storage because most farmers just harvest their tomato. As long as there is no buyer, the tomato will start deteriorating or the vegetables will start deteriorating. A lot of the markets, whether in the south, is the same thing. As long as there's no buyer to buy immediately, the integrity of the vegetables will keep declining because there are no storage spaces available. I think that this is a huge opportunity for a lot of people that want to go into, cold store systems, whether in tomato and vegetable market, or people that are looking at opportunities in drying of this tomato. Another opportunity that I think that is very valuable in the midst of all of these challenges is the transportation and logistics services. I think that tomato transportation and logistics have been a crucial, have this sector have not developed at all. Again, I keep mentioning tomato by default because in my head I always think about tomato, so please, I apologize for that. But generally for vegetables, you see them in just J5 that, I don't know, on the road you see J5s falling, trucks carrying vegetables, are falling on the road. And these are not, the vehicles are not specialized. They are not, the drivers are also just horrible drivers. I think that this sector and this space can be built on a lot of innovations that can happen in this space that can make the transportation of vegetables, especially cold storages. I think in some countries, what you have is cold chains where transportation of these products are possible. Some people do the airport, some people, the airlines do transportation, some people. Another thing is the train service, and we can talk about this as a group. And initially I mentioned that as a system, I don't know why it is not possible for the train system to carry a whole, compartment that is only for vegetables, yeah? Where you just put a cold system where you can transport these vegetables from whatever location in Nigeria where production happens to where consumption happens. We think that the transportation and logistics systems in agriculture, in vegetables sector especially, has a lot of opportunities that can be explored. And the last one is processing and value addition. We think that till today, even though Nigeria is the second largest producer of tomato in Africa, we are the highest importers of tomato in Africa. We import tomato worth $300 million every year. Now, $300 million is an opportunity for some people to enter into the value chain. I know that there are a lot of policy discussions around this, on banning the importation of tomato concentrates that is coming from China and all of that, so that we can build our agricultural system more. But there is an opportunity here where we can take in from the dollar amount that is given to China or to Italy or to Egypt, and then maximize it here in the country. So processing and value addition, there's a lot of opportunity in this space that a lot of us can take advantage of and help the Nigerian farmers so that we can reduce post-harvest loss to a bare minimum. Thank you, and God bless you for listening. If you have any question, please, this is your time. Thank you.
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes,
Yes, I can
thank you
hear
very
you.
much. Thank you very much. That was a very, very wonderful session. In short, it's as if we just continue the class actually, but also we still have to give more time for question and answer, because that's one of the major reasons why we have this webinar. We could still dive into several areas that have not been touched already. So once again, thank you, Mr. Akolo. It's been a very wonderful one, even to have brought the Deputy General Manager of Tomato Jos even to this particular platform. So I think we would want to go into the question and answer and time anytime soonest now. So in case we have anyone that probably you add one or two things that you really want to get more light on, and also if it's not going to be in the place of tomato, I don't mind him. He was mentioning tomato almost all through. It's only because it's already in his blood. And the last thing that he mentioned, which is the investment along the chain. I want us to probably walk around that particular setting too. Investment opportunities along that particular chain. So many of us always look for, where can I invest? What should I do? So many people do things like that. And whereas you heard that we are the second largest in Africa, yet we are the second, we are the one importing the more, shows that there is a huge gap that we have not yet filled. In tomato business, I know of someone that is just in a local government in Owo, and is the only one supplying in that particular area. So all his tomato that they eat there comes from his own farm. That is his own niche. And he has not left over for the, in short, if you tell him to come to Lagos, they say, what's he coming to come and do like in Lagos? He has not left that particular. There are a lot of things that we can do in the cycle of tomato. But let me leave the floor open to anyone that probably wants to ask questions or react to what you have said. So once again, thank you, Mr. Esson. So any questions in the house?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Okay, Mr. Ali, please, you can raise your hand. Okay, but you can please go on now. Or mute your mic and go on.
Okay,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr.
First of all, thank you for inviting me for this very reasonable class. As you see, my name is Hafiz Aliu from Kano State. And under the local government, Bunkura local government, one of the most producing tomatoes and other vegetables. We have the problem of insect for so many years back. So is there any specified medicine for that to control the insect? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So because that shows that can also affect your post-harvest loss. Yes, thank you. So Mr. Esson, can you react to that, please?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Aliu. Just so that I understand what you mean. When you say insect, you mean Tuta absoluta, because this is the biggest tomato blight around, please, so that I can answer very specifically. Do you mean Tuta Sharon?
Yeah, Sharon, sir, you get it.
Okay. All right. So we wrote a proposal to the Kaduna state government recently because tuta absoluta has been a very devastating, in fact, based as of last year, February, farmers lost over 20 billion naira worth of tomato in Kano State.
Yes, we are.
So it was very bad. So we understand the challenges of tuta absoluta and how much farmers have lost. I think that, not to overestimate, but I know that farmers would have lost over 40 billion naira worth of tomato last year from tuta absoluta alone. And so we designed a management, a tuta absoluta regional management. And the problem of tuta is that not one farmer can manage it alone. It has to be a collective effort. So because of the biology of the crop, the biology of the pest and many issues. So we wrote a proposal to the government to see how the government can bring in an initiative of a regional tuta control strategy. However, as an individual farmer, we can have a specific section to talk about tuta absoluta management. I'll give you a few highlights, but this is a huge discussion. I think the first issue with tuta absoluta is to understand that the insect pests develop resistance after every generation. So if you apply, for example, if you apply Tihan now, the next generation of pests, they will build resistance to Tihan. So no matter how much Tihan you apply again, Tihan will not kill them.
Okay.
So yes. So first and foremost is to understand the biology of the crop. Then number two is to understand the most effective insecticide you are using. So in our farm, we have what we call pheromones, where pheromones. Now, so there are two kinds of pheromones. There are pheromones for mating disruption, and there is pheromones for insect monitoring. So the first strategy is early monitoring, early detection and monitoring. So while you have your IPM strategy for the season, understanding the insect pests, you have also alongside a monitoring strategy for the pest, where you are dictating how much of the pest is present in your farm, so that if you are to come in with a contingency management plan, you can have that. So first and foremost, you have a management plan, which I advise every farmer to do weekly, to have active ingredients spread out, different active ingredients that I cannot tell you one, because if I tell you one, the pest will grow resistance to that one insecticide you are going to apply. So you have to have a line up of your insecticide that you're going to apply, and you have specific dates you're going to apply them. Then secondly, you need to have a pheromone for checking the monitoring the number, the population of insects. Now, the other thing is there is a pheromone that is sold by that does trapping, but at large scale, it might not be as effective. But again, that can also go. There is a that pheromone that can do trapping of tuta, of the males of tuta, so that they cannot fertilize the females, and there the generation reduces. So those are the two main things that you can do right now for the farmer. We can talk more about a comprehensive plan to manage tuta, but then this is a this is small. If you want to talk more, I know that my agronomist is also here, Salumi, and I can also drop my email address, and you can talk with me privately, and we can see how we can help you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that. In short, I'm also an advocate of indigenous solutions to most of all this, and that's the part that we have not really gotten so much in addressing our pests and diseases on our crops most times. So we actually look out for most of all these particular, yes, pesticides which are also kind of working. But I think it's now kind of needed based on climate change that we start looking at climate resistant pesticides that can be applicable to us in Nigeria and based on region. So I think it's another investment opportunity for us to start researching even into. When you are doing tomato farming in Kano, when you are doing tomato farming in Ogun State, what happens to the pest even along these particular regions? What kind of, and these things would also help investors to start investing into indigenous solutions, not just going to the shelf, now to start buying any kind of pesticide. So thank you very much. Before I move away from that, let me give the floor to Dr. Umaru Gaba. Please, you have the floor now, sir.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to talk. Firstly, let me sincerely thank Professor Gabasawa for giving me this invitation. He was the one who sent the invitation just 2 minutes before the beginning of this webinar. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much for having you, all of you, very beautiful faces. But what I would like to ask is an inquiry. I'm a teacher with Umar Ali Shinkahe Polytechnic Sokoto, and while I'm not in a full-fledged farming, but I am in farming definitely. Mostly, I am more of going organic than this synthetic insecticide and fertilizers. Because when you look at our case in Sokoto, our land is our soil is in crisis with this insecticide, herbicide, and what have you, and that's why the pH level is the soil is very acidic. But now, for the purpose of this webinar, what I would like to know is how do we now partner with Tomato Jos for maybe the vegetables, not necessarily tomatoes, but onions. Right now, we are in very soon we are going to start harvesting onions. And how is Tomato Jos going to come and help us, for instance, so that we can prevent this post-habit loss? Thank you very much. And if we can have, for instance, please, an organized place that we can be contacting each other if there's any problem. I think that will go a long way in helping more especially our local members. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Akolo, would you want to move in?
Yeah. So
okay.
Doctor, thank you. Dr. Umaru, thank you for the question. I think that first and foremost, I think that a platform is a very important opportunity to interact, and that's who will take that on. But to build a platform that all of holders in this store can interact, go along, so that if I have products, I don't have a buyer. Again, this is a problem of Nigerian farmers. If I have a product and I don't have a buyer, I can post it, and somebody that has a buyer somewhere can reach out to me and say, "Oh, I have a buyer." I just called somebody recently to tell me, "Oh, who is willing to take some sweet corn I have in a farm currently?" So I think it's important to build a platform where we can interact with each other and coordinate so that the product I can put in there, and maybe somebody will have a market for me and will share with me the contact of the person. The other thing you mentioned about having a conversation, we can discuss offline. I think that Tomato Jos is also looking at the possibility of going into onions processing. We in fact have started trialing some onions production on our own. But again, if we have enough production from elsewhere and at a rate that is comfortable for the factory. Why not? I think that it will be a valuable conversation to have, as long as there is quantity and quality. Again, most farmers do not understand that off-takers are always careful about quantity and quality. If that is not available, then as a factory, we can't run a factory. So we can have that conversation extensively offline, and I think that we can go some miles in that. And I have some other people that are also interested in onions, some other processors that are interested in onions, and we can talk with them. If Tomato Jos is not taking, I can refer you to other buyers, but let's have the conversation offline. I think it will be better. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that response. Now, in short, we have at least we have been in this particular space in agriculture for over 10 years, and I can say that that place that brings all of us together is what is actually lacking. That most times, so many of us have issues, and you are looking for the nearest hospital for you to go to, and it's not always there. And when I say hospital, it means that where can you get help? You have just finished planting, something just affected your plant. Who can you reach easily? Yes, we have extension workers, but how many of them are available? So most of all these things are just right there in our eyes, and that is why over this year now we had to look at it from farm all. We had to create a whole system that can connect everyone in the food system space. So right now where you are, you can just probably go to farmbridge.ng. Farmbridge.ng. So it's right there. Now you can check your what's the, or you can check the message box there. I put it there, farmbridge.ng. So we had to look for a way of bringing everyone, wherever you are in the country or in Africa too. Let every one of us be together and have our own social media. Sometimes you have a problem, you post on Facebook. Oh, sorry. The person that is to reply you is there watching a football, or is seeing another thing on Instagram, or is there on X, on something else. But when it concerns agriculture or food system itself, we have to create a whole place where you can do your buying and selling. Like you rightly said, when you have products, I'm on several WhatsApp groups that somebody on one WhatsApp group will say, I have tomato to buy. Maybe somebody in the 10th WhatsApp group can be saying, I'm looking for tomato to sell. It's so disaggregated that we are not all together, and it's also causing food loss, because by the time you don't have a place to sell it to, then I tell you it's just going to be wasted. So please, I encourage every one of us, you can join the farmbridge.ng. It's just the same way that you can, it's much more simpler, but it's just a way of bringing every one of us together in the food system space. Those in the marketing, those in processing, those in the policy, those in governance, in whatever place that you are, we can all be together and still operate the same social media mindset that we all think of. So we have that already. So before we move on to the next question, I want you to speak a little bit on, you mentioned something about infrastructures. So for some people that might be having smaller farms, 1 acre, 1 plot, 3 plots, and all the rest, and when they go online for ways for things to be reduced, they kind of like the crates that you mentioned now, and even other ways of storage, maybe not for tomato, but for other crops. What local infrastructures have been ever since that we are trying to replace and it's not supposed to be replaced? I don't understand my question, Mr. Akolo. Mr. Akolo. Hello.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
But do you understand my question?
Yes.
Okay, so because most times, when you are trying to look for things, you'll be saying, go and get some things, and it's kind of expensive. Go and build a site. It's kind of those people that are doing small scale farming. I have just one acre, and I want to plant pepper. What is that local thing that I can get that will still make it stored? I have just 3 plots of land, and I want to plant potato. How can I still store them? What can I still do well that will still not make it get spoiled? Even when I've tried even to manage it in pests and diseases, what about in storage? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for that question. I think that one of the commonest I have seen is the evaporative cold chambers done with a charcoal. I don't know whether you have. I really wish that I have pictures of this. I did the PowerPoints quite late, but this is a very common this thing where they create a kind of house with charcoal filled like blocks, so to say. And if you because the charcoal will retain moisture, it will cool the house, and because of that temperature, it brings the temperature really low. And those cool temperatures, you can keep your crops. You don't need NEPA light. You don't need I'm saying NEPA. You don't need any source of energy. All you need is just water. As long as the charcoal is moistened, whether it's cucumbers, whether it's tomato, whether it's even onions and all of that, it will be kept there. And as long as the charcoal is moist, the temperatures will be low enough to keep them for a while before you find market to sell them, or before you are ready to move them to the market. The other is these ventilated steel cages, or the ventilated cages that is even done with I don't know the name in English. I would just call it the maize stalk or kara. This is very common with onion farmers. I know that a lot of onion farmers can keep onions in ventilated rooms and all of that, but having it kept in ventilated cages is very valuable for the longevity of the onions. As long as the temperatures, the moisture levels are down, and they are kept in ventilated cages. And the ventilated cages don't have to be, steel cages as it were. It can be cages made with maize stalk, or sorghum stalk, very local systems. We can talk more about these things out of this. If anybody that is interested, I can share pictures with you. I can also give you people that can train you on the construction of some of these local infrastructures that can help in storage of vegetables, especially. Thank you.
Oh, very good. Very, very good. So someone wrote on the chat box the name you're trying to remember. He said it's Zek House.
Yeah.
Zero energy chamber house.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks.
That's fine. So thank you, Ezekiel Tijani. So what we're looking at is that this platform called EduFarm will be having webinars every week, come from next week, throughout the whole year. Why? The reason is just that we want to see how we could always bridge that gap of knowledge. We don't have to wait for by the time we want to organize a physical program and everyone will be there, whereas that opportunity can just be gotten here. So we are trying to see how we could every week we'll be organizing this particular webinar, different topics. Maybe sometimes it might even be twice a week. It depends on how much we have of the topics that we want to deal in, and different topics even that way. And because of that, please, I want us to just go to the chat box and probably, and first of all, just tell us where you are joining from. Then also suggest to us a topic that you want us to bring to you come 2026, so that we can help find a facilitator for it and everyone can always learn. How do you avoid post-harvest losses for? Okay, that is specific now. Now you're asking a question or you want it as a topic? Should it be answered now, ma? Mr. Maka, question. Okay, so you have a question in the chat box.
Yes. I want it answered now if possible.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Akolo, so how do you avoid post-harvest losses for sweet potatoes?
All right. Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, like I said, the strategy for a farmer is first, before you farm anything, look for a market. There's nothing better than that. There's no strategy that is better than that. If you don't have a market, don't farm. It's an advice. Even if somebody say, oh, somebody is making money here, it's important to know the market that you are going to sell to. At least, even if you don't know the person you are going to sell to, you should know the market that you're going to sell to and how you're going to get that product to that market. This is very crucial because it is very difficult to manage some of these products. Now, number one, I said that production practice is very important. Doctor mentioned organic, right? Now, if I want a sweet potato to grow very big, I will just add a lot of urea and MOP, and I know that it's going to grow ginormous. Now, the problem with that is that I'm going to get a lot of yield, but if I don't have a ready market, it's going to spoil faster than what is grown with manure and organic product. So once you understand your market and how long it takes you to reach your market, it helps you to determine even your production practices, right? The second option is, I know that there is a lot of processing of sweet potato flour recently. In fact, I remember, this is not in Nigeria, but I remember seeing bread made in Tanzania, seeing bread made from sweet potato flour. I don't know whether, that's the only place I've ever seen it. But there are a lot of products that can be made. I think one of the things that we have to start thinking about is innovation. How do we make use of it? If I have a flour from sweet potato, I've seen people make all kinds of things with sweet potato flour. So the question is, what is your goal of farming? If your goal of farming is to sell sweet potato, find a market. Know your market. Again, there's the strategy of keeping it. I can tell you that the easiest way of keeping sweet potato so that it will not spoil is to keep it in a very ventilated, away from direct sunlight and in under ventilation. That's the best strategy I can tell you. Or in places where it has cool, dry weather. But aside that, the systemic issue cannot be solved because all vegetables, you can't keep them for long, no matter how excellent you have of storage. So the system that is built, or the system for a farmer, the best thing for a farmer to do is to have a market, or he processes this product by himself. I think that's the best I can say. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. So, okay, so now even just to add again to the potato So it also depends on the kind of potato again that you are selling, because some of them might not be in the market. For example, if we are planting your normal white potato and someone else is planting the orange flesh sweet potato, at that point in time now, it now depends on who buys which. By the time you take both of them to the market, you know that the market is kind of different even both of them. One has a specific buyer, while one is kind of general. So so going again, market is always key, and that's why we are trying to move from the traditional agriculture now to the business side of agriculture called the agribusiness, where you start thinking first from the market before planting. These had always been so many reasons why we have so many farms closed down now. We don't evaluate the market enough. We feel because they said it is farm, people are making money in agriculture, we all jump into it. Then we now start seeing the whole result. So, so it is very, very key for us now to start analyzing the market. Also, someone else put in the chat box here as also a way for you to connect. So while you are looking for where to sell your own sweet potatoes to, Tilly Food says that I make bread from sweet potatoes. So that's a way to connect. So you can also sell your potatoes even to this to her or to him or to the company to get them make bread. That's a way that we can always add value also to it.
All right.
Please, you can always link up after now. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's another question, and which is very interesting to me. I think she talked about price.
Yes.
As a farmer, one of the first things you must do is to do your economics of production. Know your break-even quantities. Know that if I do what I need to do at 10 metric tons, I have broken even, and I can make profit. Anything after that is profit. If you don't know that, you will be doing a lot of guesswork. You will be doing a lot of, and as a farmer, one of the things you should know is that you can't make all the money. So if you know as a business, because every business knows their unit economics of production. Indomie know how much it takes them to produce a carton of Indomie.
Yeah.
They know that value. As a farmer, you must know how much it costs you to produce a kg of your products.
Yeah.
So that when you are selling or when you are setting a market price, you already understand that you are making profit or you are making a loss. This must determine what you are doing. And because of this, a lot of farmers do not understand. So let me give you an instance again of Tomato Jos. What we try to do is, if the average yield of tomato in Nigeria is 10 metric tons, our goal is to bring the farmer to 70 metric tons. Now, if the farmer produces 70 metric tons of tomato, that means, and then at 10 metric tons, if you are selling at 500 per kg, if you are making 70 metric tons, you can sell 200 per kg. You will still make a lot of profits. It doesn't matter, right? So it is that business acumen that you need in order to understand. And a lot of people farm without expertise. So you just farm and you produce something and you want the price to go up. Expertise is important to raise your productivity so that it drops your cost of production. That way, even if you sell at a lower price than a regular farmer that is producing very low yields, you will still make heavy profits better than the farmer. Again, the competition in the market is, how can I drop my cost of production so that I can make more profit, or even if I have to sell lower than market price, I can make a lot of profit. Those are the business calculation of farming. And if we do not understand that, then we are not in business. This is very crucial. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that business part is where we will be discussing much more, almost all throughout next year. Now, because back in the days, we knew our parents, our grandparents, our great grandparents to be farming with their wives, 7 wives, and maybe like 30 children, and they all go to the farm. So they don't calculate cost of production at all, because they know that all these things are just coming from their families and all the rest. But now things have changed. Now you have to pay for labor. You have to pay for most of it. You have to start calculating most of all these things. It's not just for you to harvest, but are you harvesting profitably? So did you just plant and hey, I harvested? What were you supposed to harvest on 1 acre of land? What did you harvest? So by the time we start looking at most of all those parameters, we'll start seeing profits. Then I will start dropping down all our cost of production. Okay, well, there's another question there. Says, how can I store tomato locally and for how long? Okay, that's your main field.
All right, I think that the best way to store tomato is locally is by drying. The other way to store tomato is by putting in cold storage. Of course, the other way is by evaporating. So there are plenty local ways of doing it. I know a lot of people that evaporate tomato. They just do the normal. I know some women do this a lot. They just get tomato, boil it, and get sterilized containers, very locally. Sterilized containers, put it in hot boiling water, and then sterilize the cover, put the tomato inside and cover it, and they keep it without even any preservative. They keep it for a year. Drying is the simplest way of doing these things. You will just dry, and once you dry your tomato, you can use them later on, or you can sell. And then if you really intend to still sell them as fresh tomato,
Yes.
the best is to keep them in a cold room. Even that doesn't stay for long. And the other thing that you can do also in order to keep tomato to stay longer is to harvest it at breaker stage. So when you are sure that the ethylene has been secreted and it has just started turning red, you can harvest it. It's still green, but it's still turning red. It's just turning red. You can harvest it green and then keep it. It will last longer. Those are the ways I know that you can keep tomato longer. Thank you.
Can you help give a duration to the longer so that they can so that longer might not mean 1 year or 6 months?
Okay. So
we can just give durations.
One thing that is very valuable is the variety of tomato that you are using. I think I mentioned this earlier, that depending on your market or depending on the use of the tomato, determines the variety of tomato, determines the tomato variety, a variety of tomato you select. So different tomato have different shelf lives. So there are tomatoes that after 7 days, depending on how you keep them. So maybe I didn't mention this. Usually when I want to keep tomato, I will make sure I clean the tomato. Even if I can clean it with alcohol or ethanol, I clean the surface of the tomato so that I disinfect it. Now, the spoilage of tomato comes from microorganisms on the surface of the tomato, or from water splashes in the field and all of that. If you clean the tomato, it will last longer. So there are tomato varieties that will last you 7 days. There are some that can last, if you keep them individually, not piled together, they can last for even 14 days. Some 3 days, depending on the time you harvest them and all that. So depending on the strategy, the variety, and the way you kept the tomato after where you are keeping it. So that determines all of that, and the temperature in which you are keeping the tomato. So there's a range, but usually, of course, tomato, there are also products. I know that we don't like these things, but There are products you can spray on the tomato. What it will do is that it will create a layer so that microorganisms cannot affect the tomato. That can even take you to 21 days. Some Indian guys are selling that product. They call it Miracle. So,
Miracle.
yeah, that's what they call it, Miracle. So, it depends on what you want to do. So, those are the strategies we can, again, like I keep saying, if you want anything specific, we can talk about it outside this meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. So I think we might be going to one of the last questions. Can farmers be connected to processors on this forum? Yes. On the farm bridge, everyone is connected. Well, the plan is to bring in farmers, processors, marketers, everyone together on the same place, so that immediately, by the time you want to start harvesting, you want to start planting, you can put down there, I plan to, who wants to harvest, and the only plan is just for us to get that particular platform to as many people as we can get it, so that we can have a lot of people on the platform. Yes, that's the main idea, is for us to have people connected. Okay, so this is, okay, that's good. Thank economics of, okay, yes, we will be working on farming, bookkeeping. Yes, very, very much important. Very, very much important. Okay, so lastly, I want you to give an opportunity also for some people, because you mentioned contract farming, and because it's coming from Tomato Jos, which is a very, very big organization. Is there a way that contract farming can also come from other areas, where you sign contract with farmers and you just offtake immediately from them, so that farmers can now start, okay, if I have a farm maybe somewhere closer, can you do aggregated farming and you just start getting, or what investment package can you advise for people on this platform if they want to go into contract farming with you?
So I don't think it's possible this year. So what Tomato Jos does is that at the beginning of the year, it designs.
Is fresh.
Hello?
I said 2026 is fresh.
Yeah, I mean, when I say this season's production. So all of the things that Tomato Jos have done last year, they will process it this year in 2026. So the planning for 2027 starts in 2026, because there is a particular amount of tomato that the factory will process per day. So that planning is done, and that's why I told you guys that it is important to start the planning for post-harvest loss management. Is not when we start harvesting, is from planting, from the planning of the season. So we start that planning, and we're saying that, okay, this is how much tomato we need in the factory every day. For how long do we want to run the factory? How many hectares do we have? How many farmers do we have contracted? What is our estimated yield? Now, tomato is unlike grain that you can on and off the machine. If you run the machine, you have to run it for at least 2 weeks. And you have to work day and night. If you lose any time if you lose a day or 6 hours without product, then you have lost millions of naira. So the design starts from the beginning of the season and say, okay, this is what we want to do. This is how many farmers we have. If we need more farmers, then we will plan their planting. So we say some people will plant at this time, some people will plant at this time, some people will plant at this time, so that they will harvest at a certain period that we have planned. That way, when we start harvesting, the harvest will not all come at once, but it will come based on the planting. That way, the factory is not overwhelmed at a particular time. Do you understand?
Yes.
So the only reason why we will try to engage farmers at harvest will be
if something happens in our production and we are running short. Sometimes we run short, sometimes our yield projections are lower than our estimated yield. Our yield projection are lower than our actual yield, so we might even have to sell to open market. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So those are these things. If a farmer wants to work with Tomato Jos, the plan has to start before the season commences. So it's an extensive plan, and that is why I said that to build to manage post-harvest loss, the farmer must have a mindset of the complete supply chain, and so that from the start of the season, he knows what he plans to do throughout to sales. Thank you. Sorry that I'm saying that we can begin conversation with the farmers that are here and to see how next year we can include them in the plans with Tomato Jos. But for this season, it looks almost impossible, because already we have set our plans and we're just implementing.
That's good. So that's wonderful then. So we would be looking at a certain window of opportunities for people that want, because that's a very, very best way to plant actually. So when you know that they will offtake from you, and this is going to be the tonnage that they'll be needing from you, then just plant and just supply. At that time, you are much more secure. So going forward, we will still continue our discussions even as regards that contract farming for tomato. But also, where would the location be in case we want to start such kind of discussion? Would it just be in the north, or which areas in the north are you suggesting to just be the best part in case people want to engage for next year?
Also, Tomato Jos is in Kaduna, and transportation and everything increases the cost of production or the cost of tomato. So usually you prepare farmers around Kaduna, at worst case scenario, Kano. I also wanted to mention this, that I have friends that are into processing.
Great.
Yes, that are interested in processing. They are very open in their processing. In fact, I keep receiving calls from them asking, oh, do you have farmers that have dry tomato? What they are buying now is dry tomato, not fresh tomato. So if you have farmers that want to be engaged by these farmers, why not? I can also connect them with some of these farmers that one of them is in the northeast, some of them are in Zaria, in Kaduna still. So, and then I have another one in Kano. So again, if you have people that are interested, many of these people are open. Tomato Jos no, but many of these people are more open, and we can have those conversations.
So thank you very much. So that was a very wonderful one, and I think it's also an open opportunity for everyone on this particular webinar to know that the opportunity is open when you know those that are in charge of those opportunities actually. So for now, we would be looking at how you can tap into that kind of opportunity probably for this planting season. We would work on from now to engage those other processors and to see how many and what the tonnage that they might be needing, and how we can aggregate and the farmers in the areas that they need, so we can have more people farm to market. So that's market to farm, farm to market. So thank you very much. And at this stage, I think we are out of questions. Let me check the message. I think we are out of questions already. I process tomato, I need tomatoes. Now you can see that already too. So you can see someone that is saying that process tomato and needs tomato for processing. So there are always market. It's only that most times the agricultural field is too aggregated, that people need things and they don't know where they are. So that's why I'm saying again, please, everyone, post this thing as you are saying. Go to farmbridge.farmall.ng, open Let me put it again there. farmbridge.farmo.ng, so that we can start having that pool, just that pool of food system people. Finish. We don't need those that are into football. We don't need those that are into sports. We don't need those into news. All the things that we need actually is everyone that is into the food system in a particular platform. I'm just posting it here too. Please, you can just click on that particular link in the chat box and let us have our social media that is just for us. So all farmers, all processors, everyone will be on one particular page, wider enough to take anything that we are looking out for. Okay, so thank you very much once again, everyone. It's been a very, very wonderful time. We would be looking at, I would want to give someone a space to talk. You'll be surprised. I think I can see him on the call. Yes. In short, when I finished school, my first boss in agricultural way is on this call here. Please give it up, even as I call Mr. Amore to just give a talk to what we have been saying, please, sir. Please, I would love you to just say something, sir.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank God.
Talking about tomato, I think we have done really justice for it, because if most of the things talked about is not attended to, we will not have quality tomatoes, not only for export, even for consumption. And I believe that all the food storage, all the ideas given will help a lot to preserve our tomatoes, especially from farm to the table. I think it's a good page to talk about tomato. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so we will be closing today, but also, like I said, please, I would love you, even before you close, you can just go to the chat box and just put in where you are chatting, where you joined from, so that we can see the robust audience that we have had today. We've had people also from Uganda. We've had people from Ghana join the call. We've had people, the network has just been very, very disturbing. We've had them join and they just leave. Oh, from Kano. Thank you, Mr. Tijani. Let's have people, let's see where they join from. Please also, let me remind us that come next month, January, we'll be having another food system webinar, and we will be having also a session in the second week just for students alone. We'll be having a session also that will not be any one of us, maybe from what's a presenter. It will only be ask the expert. So we'll be bringing one person up, and we'll be having kind of discussion, robust discussion, so that we can all grow from what we know. Sometimes what you knew yesterday might not be what even applies today. So we want to kind of engage. Let us see how we can all rub minds even as regards a particular topic. So we'll be having those kind of sessions moving on from January. So please subscribe to EduFarm. It's not a page on Facebook or Instagram, or it's a page that stands on its own. It's just edufarm.farmo.ng. We are trying to build just an educational place just for agriculture, just for food system, where we can all keep talking and bridging that gap of information. So once again, I'm Samuel Akinyode by name, and thank you once again. It's been a very, very wonderful session. Thank you, and God. Please, before you leave, you can also drop your reactions even on the group. What you enjoyed most, and if you really enjoyed it or just wasted your time, please, you can just even drop that even on the group. Thank you for all those that joined. And once again, and to our wonderful speaker, I think let me see if I can play it. Now, network was giving me issues the other time. Let me see if I can play it now. Sorry. Thank you. I can see all the
Esson, Niger, is the Deputy General Manager at Tomato Jos Farming and Processing Limited, a pioneering agribusiness reshaping Nigeria's tomato value chain.
it's not
He is
playing.
passionate about building climate-smart and inclusive agricultural systems that empower smallholder farmers and drive long-term food security across West Africa. Under his leadership, Tomato Jos has successfully integrated over 2,500 smallholder farmers with over 50% women inclusion into the commercially viable supply chain. This benchmark remains unmatched by any other private sector-led initiative in the country.
In agronomic programs that have delivered some of the yields of maize. Niger is the Deputy General Manager at Tomato Jos Farming and Processing Limited, a pioneering agribusiness reshaping Nigeria's tomato value chain.
It's not playing.
He is passionate about building climate-smart and inclusive agricultural systems that empower smallholder farmers and drive long-term food security
No,
across
there's a
West
video I was
Africa.
supposed to play.
Under his leadership, Tomato Jos
Not
has
playing.
successfully integrated over
Okay,
2,000.
thank you very much.
Commercially viable supply chain. This benchmark
Okay, so thank you very much.
by any other private sector.
Okay, I will drop the link. Yes, I will drop the link now.
Esson has also overseen economic programs that have delivered some of the highest.
Please, they say we farm and process sweet potatoes. Please, you can reach out to Mrs. Amaka. They farm and process sweet potato. In short, I've had so many people come to me that they want to farm sweet potatoes. So I think it's always a good place for us to also connect now. So once again, Mr. Esson Akolo, thank you for joining today. So that you can, please, Mr. Akolo, can you drop your email and your number in the chat box so that people can reach out to you even after now. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining.
Before joining Tomato Jos.
Want to sleep? Let me carry please.
A makami deputy suna ina gaban gwamna
shi wancan mukami ne na ƙasa. Shi ko na jiha ne.
amma an dawo jiha na ƙarƙashin gwamna
Tare kwa tunda tare jiha ba.
ka ku ai automatically a ƙasan sai na adam alaikum assalam uturu
Kana state
automatically ko sanar president ne kai a jihar gwamna yana sanin
ka dawo ba ka dawo jihar
dole ka dawo ne matsalar ce
dole sai ka dawo gida tsare ka
na je gurin shugaban kasa ma zai fifita gwamna a kanka inda ya san bukatarsa a jihar yake
gaskiya
inda duk magana ce ta election na zo election kuma kai ba za ka yi amfana na komai ba